morning glory. Say there, stop that yawning. A brand new day is dawning. Pull up the shade and let the sun come through. Good morning glory. Spend about an hour underneath the shower and keep on singing like the birdies do.
Well, it's that time again, the time of the week when books are talked about on your computer or phone or however you watch this show. We tried sending it out by carrier pigeon. It was rejected. So here we are, Books of the Week, CPL Radio's book show, bookish show. And here's a very bookish person, Steve Donahue.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm here with my obviously fake green screen background.
I see you added a few more green screens back there. It looks a little more populated.
Books in the background. I paid extras for the 3-dimensional effect, so it looks like it's going back in space.
As long as you haven't read them, anything but that.
No.
I mean, that's the real danger.
The Irish racing pages, the obituaries. That's all I read. Is the obituaries. He was so young.
Perfect. That's all you hear out of Steve's apartment all day. So young. Well, we are here to not talk about the dead. We're here to talk about books. And Steve, for those of you joining us for the first time, as always, we're sorry.
We'll hope you lasted longer than the carrier pigeons did.
So Steve is a book critic. That's what he does all day, every day. He reads. I think there's like 20 minutes out of the day you don't read, right? I'm not sure how that works.
All the time that is required to my bossy little dog, but otherwise, all I do is read and write about what I read.
There we go. It's living the dream, as the kids say, and we are going to talk about, as we do on this show, a nonfiction title to start out with, and then we'll move on over to the fiction side of things, and then I get to flash Steve, but I'm going to flash books. Get your minds out of the gutters. All right, Steve, what you got for a nonfiction title this week?
Well,
this one's gonna hurt, isn't it?
Our nonfiction title touches on religion. Now, here at Books of the Week, we don't skirt away from the difficult subjects.
No.
And on the one side of your split screen, you have my mild-mannered, affable Upper Midwest producer.
Yes.
And on the other side of your screen for this book, you have that scene from Peter Jackson's The Hobbit where Smaug is strafing the village with flame. That's pretty much what you've got on this side of the screen.
He's going Peter Finch on us. He's mad as hell, and he might not take it anymore.
The book is called Shepherds for Sale, and it is about a force corrupting the evangelical movement in the United States.
Like a cancer.
And it's written by someone from the Daily Wire, and so the force corrupting evangelicalism in the United States is the leftist agenda. It's not the 10 things.
Wait a minute.
No, it's not any of the 10 things that came to your mind.
I've been flim-flammed.
Yeah, it's the leftist agenda. That is what is corrupting your church. The leftist agenda. And you might think that means politics.
Start with that.
But it doesn't mean politics. There are no political positions that are in this book or argued with in this book. It's all culture war crap. So you have to ask yourself, first of all, this only applies to mega churches. And in the United States in 2024, there are no mega churches. There are MAGA churches.
Yeah, yes, indeed.
They don't worship Jesus anymore. They worship Donald Trump.
Right. True.
Yeah. And if it's those churches that we're talking about, well, you have to, the author of this crappy, horrible book wants you to conduct a series of dispassionate questions to find out whether or not your church has been infiltrated by the leftist mind virus.
Oh, it's an operator's manual.
Well, part of the book is helping you to figure out whether or not your church has been corrupted. So you have to ask a few questions.
Do you have a few of those? I'm really curious.
Do you think that the earth goes around the sun?
Oh.
Do you think that if you have a son who is gay, you should embrace him and accept him for who he is and hope that he finds love and fulfillment in his life? Or do you think that you should dispossess him, and lobby hard for your politicians to pass a law that would allow you to murder him. Which of those two things is it? You want to start to ask around about that.
Oh, dear. Oh.
Do you think that wearing a face mask during a pandemic cuts down on infection of an airborne virus? Which of what do you think about that? Yes or no? Do you think that airborne viruses exist?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yes or no? What do you think about that? Do you think that the Earth is older than the city of Aleppo? What do you think about that? And if you ask around in your congregation and you get even one person saying the wrong answers to those questions, then your congregation has probably been infiltrated by the leftist mind virus.
Okay. So we gotta dial back a little bit here. What is the tone of this book when you first crack it open? The initial pages, like in the introduction.
The tone is muckraking. The author wants to convey the tone that she is breaking, hard-hitting investigative work.
Oh, so she's heroic, sort of.
When the question comes up to your congregation at your MAGA church, do you think we should go through the school library and burn some things? If your answer is no, if anybody's answer is no, well, then you're probably infected with the leftist virus.
I mean, I don't want to. No, yes, I do. This is like the ISIS Guide to Life in America. Oh, ick.
Yep.
Oh, this isn't going to work. No.
The ISIS Guide to the power that behind the leftist agenda, because, of course, there's a bad guy here. Let's keep in mind, this is not a virus. A true virus is mindless, of course. It doesn't have an evil agenda. No, this is a thing that's being done to your church by them. I lost count in this book of how many times this author invokes the nebulous they or them. And if it were an ISIS training guide to America, well, the them would be America. It would be the humanist values of small L liberal democracy.
Yeah.
It's not that in Shepherd for Sale, but there is still an identity to the they and them that are doing this.
Okay. Please tell me it's not George Soros. That's really old.
Well, George Soros is just one person. We're thinking more about a group of people, perhaps even an ethnography of people. You're never going to guess who that is.
I didn't do it.
Quite apart from being appalled by this kind of crapola, I honestly don't know why Middle America is not bored with it. I honestly don't know.
Oy.
And the thing that outraged me most about this book was the author putting a metaphorical arm around my shoulder, not yours, definitely not yours, with my shoulder, and saying, I'm sure you've noticed this too, and you've got to figure out what to do about this.
I decided to turn my camera off during that. No, I can't be.
It's too bad you can't have like devil horns around the CPL logo. That would be so awesome.
This is as close as I can come.
Actually, the author's not putting her arm around me either.
No.
Because I'm sure that this author, I'm 100% positive that this author would say that Catholics are not Christians.
Sure.
Yeah. And who knows if the Italian Curia in Vatican City don't think the same thing. I wonder if the no Irish need apply signs have been pulled out of every doorway of Vatican City. I don't know, but that's true.
Wherever shall we dine, Steve?
I know. But when the author does that metaphorical embrace, all I wanted to say, in fact, I yelled it a few times to the startlement of my little dog, was the classic line from that Lone Ranger cartoon, "Who's we, Kimosabe?"
Oh boy.
Because the huge majority of Christians, of believing Christians in this country, people for whom Christianity is a bright white light in their life that they couldn't live without, and that actually helps them to be better people.
Yes.
The huge majority of those people wouldn't want this woman anywhere near them. They wouldn't would hold this book like it was some sort of toxic waste.
Yeah. Wow.
All I ever want to do when I'm reading a book like this, or when I'm listening to MAGA people in MAGA churches, All I want to do is say, so in a situation in which someone is really, really offending you, you turn the other cheek, right? If someone attacks you, you offer to love them. You offer to give them what they want.
I believe that's part of the tenant, if I remember correctly.
When poll after poll, survey after survey after survey of these MAGA churches, when you take the biblical language out of it and take Jesus's name off it, these people who call themselves the most fervent Christians in the country say, what kind of woke nonsense is that?
Whoa. I mean,
this author, the people that she interviews, none of them would agree with those principles at all.
You know, Jesus had long hair. You know that he was long hair. One of those. I mean, have they dealt with that issue yet? And then the nice things he did for the poor on the street, that was very nice. I like that. Even as a Jewish person, I can live with that.
You name it. You name one thing that is in any way broad-minded, progressive, or science-based.
Yeah.
And that is part of what this author considers to be the liberal agenda that is infecting your MAGA church. From whether or not you want to throw knives at your gay son to whether or not you believe in that the climate is changing.
What is her background besides you said the Daily Wire, the Daily Beast, some daily thing, right?
Wire.
Okay. Yeah. What I mean, prior to that, did she come? Where did this come from?
I have no idea. This is meant to stir up the base. That's all. And the irony here is that the way this kind of crap can stir up a base is to alienate them from the thing that makes them who they are.
Right.
The element of the base here is Christianity. And
sure,
this is a vengeful, bloody-minded, stupid, grudging, hateful book.
So evangelical,
fact. It doesn't even want to acknowledge fact. If you were to say to one of the people that are interviewed in this book, well, satellites in orbit clearly record the mean average temperature of the Earth, and every year for the last 10 years has been the hottest year on record, dethroning the last record holder, which was that previous year.
Right.
If you would say that to these people, they would say, well, you know who's operating those satellites, and by that they mean you.
Yeah.
And they would also say, well, you know, and I don't believe those satellites are real. And why aren't those satellites real? Because you can't have satellites if the Earth isn't round.
Whoops. That's very true.
It's just bottomless. It's just bottomless. The good old days here that are always evoked, they're always implied in this book. The good old days for the people who run this world, people who run the world reflected in this book, I often hear people say that it's the 1950s. That's not true.
No.
It's 800 BC.
Yes,
that's the good old days. That's the beautiful lost world that they want back. 800 BC. So if you're a man, you have as many wives as you want. Your wives are property. They're cattle. They don't count for anything. They can't speak or talk. Your children are your property. You can execute them at any time. And you are vengefully, violently intolerant of everyone outside your in-group.
These people don't even believe in spatulas, like as kitchen equipment. This is crazy. This is way out of the pale here. Mel Brooks sang it best. The Inquisition. What is going on here? I can't take it. Oh my God.
The two main points that I want to make about this. The one little point is that, of course, this book is going to get raked over the coals since my producer and I both come from mongrel despised subgroups who have managed to overcompensate with literature because they can't get anything else on the society.
Hey, we had a good time. We had fun. Didn't we? Something like that.
Your own despised mongrel subgroup gave us most of the greatest literature of the 20th century.
Absolutely. Groucho Marx.
My subgroup gave us a beloved president until they killed him. Oh, wait, was that you? I'm getting my theys mixed up now.
Know your enema, right? Frank Burns. Something like that. What are we going to do? Oh my God.
Other point that I want, before we move on, the other point that I want to make about this book is that it is not representative.
No.
Those big churches are not representative.
No.
Most Christians in the country would be appalled by this kind of science-denying, ignoramus hatred.
It's very neon. Those churches, I mean, if you go to a proper Christian church, there's usually kind of folksy and there's casseroles on the table for afterwards and a little coffee clatch in the corner. No, but these churches you're talking about have these incredible, like not Kmart, Target style. Yeah. Right.
Most churches, most Christian churches that you go to, they're going to have casseroles on the table. They're going to have a service, and before and after, you're going to meet some of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Without
people who will do anything for you.
Absolutely.
What's that you say? You fell on rough times? Well, no, we have a spare room over the garage. I've just met you. I just met you this minute.
Right.
I'll go to the hardware store and have a key made for you.
Yeah.
Stay there until you get on your feet. Those aren't anywhere in this book. Instead, this book's clear message is that if you are not a MAGA Republican, you are not a Christian. And all the preachers in these MAGA churches all say that from the pulpit. Of course, they're still tax exempt. I'm not really sure what's going on there. They're explicitly political organizations, and they're still tax exempt.
Can I just turn this woman loose now? I was going to save her for the end of the show, but I think we need her now. Preview of things to come, everybody. I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm feeling a little violent.
This is not a recommend. We can see if our next segment, if our B block is a recommend, but this is not a recommend.
It would have to be. I can't imagine. I mean, what possible fiction book could be this odious? Let's find out. What you got for fiction this week, Steve?
Well, what I've got for fiction is not a recommend, but it's not a condemnation.
There we go.
It's Hard to Kill.
Oh, no.
By James Patterson and Mike Lupica.
All right. So duck dodge as the bullets whiz by, right? We're doing?
Yeah, pretty much. This is book 2 in the Jane Smith adventures.
You know what I like about Jane Smith as a name? for a hero? She's an every woman. Truly.
I know. I don't want to bash either of these guys. Mike Lupica can be a talented writer, and James
good.
Patterson is a heck of a guy.
Yeah.
He's not a good writer, but he's a heck of a guy, very generous. Charities, with helping his co-authors. Gives people what they want. He writes very page-turning books that are really, really shallow.
He's got a business plan.
He's got a business plan. Exactly. He's got a business plan. He's the best-selling author in the world because he has a business plan. But you're exactly right. If you've got to the point where you're naming your character main character, that's pretty bad. And Jane Smith has no personality at all.
Oh, dear.
But she does have quirks and kinks and catchphrases. And I was noticing in this one, in Hard to Kill, that, boy, those are already forming. They're already hard in place after only one book. So by the time this series gets to book number 10, I can't imagine how incomprehensible they will be to anybody.
The chapters will be half a paragraph.
I could think about Janet Ivanovich's books. Mm-hmm. In Janet Ivanovich's books, the ones that have numbers in the title.
Yes.
By the time she got to 10, all of the book was in jokes. All of it. So you could not. It made no sense whatsoever.
Right.
By the time you got to book number 10 in the Janet Ivanovich series, it was exactly like that Star Trek episode where you meet an alien race that speaks only in their own literary metaphors. You don't have any idea what they're talking about. You're reading the 10th Janet Ivanovich book, and the characters are saying Tanagra when the walls fall. You don't have any idea what's going on. You have no, Suki at the Quickie Mart. Huh? The audience just laughed their heads off, but you don't know what's going on. And that's already happening in Hard to Kill. Also, I might point out Jane Smith's client, let's just call him client.
Sure.
He's implicated in not one, but 2 mass triple murders of families.
Oh, my.
And the uphill battle here, the underdog story of the novel is how is she going to prove that he didn't do it? How is she going to prove that he's innocent? Mm-hmm. And you got to give James Patterson credit. He likes to stack the deck like this.
Yes. Yeah.
So it doesn't just have, if he has a character, the good guy is on an express train, he doesn't just have one other passenger on the train be an assassin dedicated to killing him. He has all of them. They're all dedicated to killing him.
What are the odds?
Credit for that. He doesn't do anything by half measures. So you're definitely not going to notice your cross-country plane flight.
Right.
Right. But I have to point out here, I don't mean to be that guy. But if you're going to if
Hey,
you're
we
gonna
pay you good money to be that guy, Donahue.
Go radio pays me good money to be that guy. That's absolutely true. It's certainly not going to be my producer as that guy.
No. I've never been that guy, and I don't aspire to be that guy.
He's the beloved one.
I buttoned up today a little more than usual. Actually, yes.
But the only that guy comment that I want to make here is that if your book's tragedies are families, including children, being murdered, maybe don't call the book Hard to Kill.
Yeah.
Use that as a tough gal superlative for your main character called main character. Maybe don't do that. Maybe find another title.
Seems a little tone deaf, I suppose. But what can you do?
What are all the USA Today critic adjectives that you could use for this? Nonstop, nail biting, edge of your seat, rollicking, roller coaster ride. It's all of that. Unironically, it's all of that.
Like a freight train, it barrels to its conclusion.
It's like you said, this guy has a business plan. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And
any of you who were maybe worried, if you're not aware of this series, but you are aware of Mike Lupica, and you're wondering, is he going to spoil what the kids call the vibe of a James Patterson book by introducing the smallest hint of literary quality? No.
No worries. No, we're good.
No, he was probably working on a book of his own, maybe an excellent YA book or something like that.
Sure.
And then he realized that he got a contract with James Patterson. So today's work, when I go upstairs to my study, I have to work on my part of Hard to Kill. And his preparation for that was not cracking his knuckles in front of the manual typewriter or warming up a little. It was having one of his kids hit him into the 2x4 in the head. That brought his writing style right down to where it should be.
While the movie Twisters is playing in the background.
Right. You're not going to have to worry about any of that.
It looks like a loud book, Steve. You check it out. Get it out of this library.
I mean, I don't fault Patterson, but sometimes that piling on of things becomes a little redundant. It becomes a little ridiculous, more than a little ridiculous. The factors, I don't want to spoil the book for anybody who hasn't read the first one, but the factors that Jane Smith, that main character, is dealing with, it's not just an impossible client. It's a whole bunch of other stuff too. And any one of them would be a book on their own. And also most of them would stop her from doing anything else.
Right. Well, and it's the Alex Cross formula. They piled a lot on that guy too. And it was almost a checklist. I couldn't figure out by book, again, 8 or 9. I'm like, how much? I think he went through this already, didn't he? I don't remember. I think we're doing this again.
Sometimes it's all at the same time.
Oh, right.
I wasn't going to go to a doctor, but I've got that slug in my back. But thanks to the near assassin in book 2, I've also got this colostomy bag sloshing around. And, the glaucoma in my right eye is acting so bad that I'm really functionally blind. And what's that you say? A Croatian assassin? Yeah, okay. All right. Pick a lane, why don't you?
Oh, my goodness. When they described when Mr. Lupica, because I'm assuming he did the actual text, usually Patterson hands him a manila folder with the outline and says, Mr. Lupica, make this shine, make this glimmer. I'm assuming when he described Jane Smith, she looked a lot like that.
There's precious little in the way of description here. In the way of anything. This is really meant just to be a melodrama feed hooked up straight to your limbic system during the flight across country or whatever.
Actually, that's your critic line right there. Right? A feed to your limbic system. I like that. That's
so to our patrons. This is the second book in a series. Like I said, it already feels like it's accumulating lots and lots of insider language. So you might want to start with book number 1. Sure. But to our patrons, I might say something heretical. Don't start with book number 1. I know you like James Patterson. So do I. Don't.
What are you asking these people to do?
To up the gradient of their reading a tiny bit. I'm not saying go straight to Soren Kierkegaard. Up the gradient a tiny bit. No offense to James Patterson, no offense to Mike Lupica, but what I'm saying here is that there isn't any good reason to read books like this.
Sure. Yeah.
So there we go. Isn't that an uplifting show so far?
I just already got a response from our patrons to your to your statement there. This is what they want to do with you.
I'm not saying that you don't occasionally want easy reading, but this is too easy.
Yeah.
This is too easy.
It's a little boring. I mean, that's the problem. Is actually, like you said, they stack the deck so much that it's dry. It's just not.
If a book like this doesn't bore you, then the point is that if you go to the information desk at the Cedarburg Public Library, my producer will be happy to help you find something better.
Absolutely. There's a new book series out with this woman, better than Jane Smith. Her name is Miss Unsafe Breaks. Now that's drama, kids.
And if you happen to approach my producer right before he's set to tape one of our episodes, he will smile at you and tell you to go to hell because that's where you belong.
This close today. This close. I was this close today. Let me tell you.
It's the very first commandment you people have.
instead of clearing the runway, getting everything off the tarmac.
Yes. My poor producer had to make his way through the library full of needy patrons, and it was like that scene in Airplane where Robert Stack is punching all the panhandlers at the airport.
Jews for Jesus. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, it's time for the wild card segment, but I think we've already been there for this entire episode, but there we go.
I wasn't thinking ahead of time. For those of you who don't know our plan here, I pick the fiction and nonfiction, and then my producer picks the wild cards. I wasn't thinking ahead of time that I would have almost nothing positive to say about either.
and yet, as we've discussed on this show, Steve, people love this version of the show when you're when the scalpels are out, the pancreas has slipped off the tray.
In the A block, the only reason to read that book is to know the face of your enemy, especially if you're a Christian.
Yeah.
Especially if you are. And in the B block, there is no reason to read Hard to Kill. There is no reason to do it. I know sometimes you want to shut your brain off and just read a feel-good book, but there are plenty of feel-good books that don't require you to shut your brain off.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. David Baldacci. I always say when people want a good thriller, I always say even at his worst, Baldacci's trying.
David Baldacci, David Bell. We could come up with a whole bunch of what's his name? Michael Deaver.
No, Deaver's great. Yeah, absolutely. No,
but even there's even more that you could do.
Well, that's true.
You say that you want to just skate and you just want to turn your brain off and read something fun.
Yeah.
Okay, does that have to be a thriller? Have you ever tried a short story by George Saunders? Have you ever tried that? You might find that you really, really like it.
I've watched that happen. I've watched readers
really?
It's fun to watch because you really see. It's almost like someone getting their peripheral vision back, you know? I mean, it's just really interesting how their gait changes almost. It's fun. It doesn't happen a lot. I mean, it's not one of those daily success stories, but once or twice a year, you'll see someone who's like, I tried Asimov and it was great. I read Foundation. And I don't know how to get through the day now. So it's really, really cool. Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get wild.
Just remember that these easy, cheap, mindless books, they're what they want you to read.
Now see here. Don't you? Today's show is brought to you
Are you leaving that crock pot open for Elijah? Is that what you're doing? What I want to know is, if you're getting your weekly check from George Soros, how come we're still 177th in the ratings?
It's fun when you're roundly despised, Steve. Not just a few people.
Well, if there's one thing that the books of the week would know, it's how much fun it is to be roundly despised.
You'll say, "Are you well rounded?" I was like, "Oh, you have no idea, babe." Borderline Renaissance men. This is us. So anyway, well, let's get wild. And we're gonna start with a book that's really rocketing up the charts over here at Casey Kasem Central. Emily Giffen's The Summer Pact.
I haven't read this book.
Okay.
But I have seen the rocketing up the charts thing. People are really liking it, and it's rocketing up the charts in the most reliable way. Word of mouth, which can't be bought, it can't be coerced, it can't be simulated.
Because we tried all three here on the show.
We have tried that many times. No, a book like this is not going to get reviewed anywhere.
No,
it'll get reviewed on Amazon and Goodreads, but it won't get reviewed anywhere that that has a circulation.
Sure. Yeah,
it's only been word of mouth. It's been people reading it and thinking this is wonderful. I don't have a copy. So I haven't read it. And if our viewers are wondering, well, you could go out and buy a copy, I will just say I'll pretend I didn't hear that.
You never say that to a book critic. Oh my! I said it once to Steve, and the red slap mark finally went away after like 6 days.
You brute! You brute! You brute!
Whew.
All we're doing now at this point in the show is just Dad referencing our favorite movies. We're just talk about building up in jokes. We're just referencing our favorite movies.
If we get to Caddyshack, we're in big trouble. So,
Well,
so it's
we're waiting.
I will not fall into a Caddyshack hole with you, Steve. It's the most dangerous thing that could happen on this show. Oh my goodness! Instead of Caddyshack,
why are people watching this? I don't. Anyway.
Drop it in the comments, everybody. Let me know.
Yeah.
Another not Caddyshack book. It's called Sandwich, and boy, is this thing rocketing up the charts too. I grabbed Hot Ones today.
Yes, it's very good.
Skinny.
Very, very good. I don't quite remember. Could you check the dust jacket? Is it a debut novel? I think it is.
I will check. It is Catherine Newman is her name. She nope, she did something called We All Want Impossible Things prior, and she's done some memoirs, I believe. So yeah.
Yes.
And some kids' books. So she's been busy.
Really, really good.
Excellent.
Not like anything else that this author has done.
I bought a lot.
And navel gazing, and this is not. This has genuine characters in it. Characters that are not. I believe. I could be wrong. I could be eating crow, but I believe that some of the characters in this book are made up, not one-to-one analogs of her friends' Twitter feeds, but actually invented characters. I honestly got that impression. I almost never do anymore.
Revolutionary act.
Yeah, I had a great deal of enjoyment out of the clueless, bloated Colonel Blimp reviewer that the Times Literary Supplement in London got to review this book, talking about the searing insight of the title, reflecting the fact that the main character is sandwiched between two irrevocable social forces. It took somebody from, I think, Marblehead to write in and say it's a town on Cape Cod, you moron.
Well, once Rumpole of the Bailey is over, is done reviewing books. Well, I guess not. Well, if I know one thing about my boss, he likes biographies, and this is kind of interesting. This you might know Miss Ford from a very bad year she had, and I'm assuming she talks about that year in this book. Correct?
Yes. Yeah. I confess I am not one. There's a term in the reading world, DNF, where you start a book but you don't finish it. And
I know it too well.
You put it down is that you're not going to finish it.
Yeah.
And I actually DNF'd this book. I almost never do because I read all the time. I read really fast, so there doesn't seem to ever be a reason for me to do it.
Sure.
But I did here because I honestly didn't think I was going to read anything that I hadn't already read in the first 100 pages.
Sure. Yeah.
Christine Blasey Ford made United States history. She commandeered the headlines for a while by accusing a powerful man of having done something wrong. And that powerful man survived her accusations and stripped away a 50-year-old civic right from all the women in the country.
Yep.
So she was right about him, but I had a very awkward position when that whole Brett Kavanaugh confirmation thing was going on, because I believed her. Absolutely. I believed her. You could tell his tone, and also you could tell in his tone.
Yeah.
But nothing should have been done with that testimony. It should never have been heard. It was totally ungrounded in anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was thinking, okay, well, he's being lampooned by Matt Damon on Saturday Night Live. He's obviously a short-tempered jerk.
Right.
He's obviously, even at the time, I thought, he's obviously lying about how sanctified in law he thinks Roe v. Wade is. Turns out I was right about that. He was lying.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't be hearing any of this.
No.
These are accurate. None of them are consistent. None of them are this. We shouldn't be hearing this. There are other reasons to disqualify this.
Yeah.
All I was thinking was, what if this happened to anybody, just anybody, somebody who wasn't unsympathetic.
Right. Yeah. Without a confirmation hearing probably shouldn't be produced by Aaron Spelling. I think it's ultimately the. I mean, it just everything. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong, is what Buffalo Springfield.
She was saying in her testimony boiled down to, he made me feel terrible a lifetime ago, I think. That's
and but there was a great like you said, there's a great Saturday Night Live sketch that came out of it because that was masterful.
You could salvage this book if she were a good writer, but she or whoever she got to do it for her is not. So I don't understand why there was a book.
It's here. And I guess like you said, I don't. Oh boy, I looked at the reviewers on the back. This is our roster of reviewers: Anita Hill, The Atlantic, Nancy Pelosi, and America Ferrera. These are the. I'm not touching any of that, by the way.
The reviews that you would have to do of this book would be a review of the woman in her testimony, but that's not the book.
Well, let's have a little more fun, shall we? And that's maybe it's a little sad too, a little bittersweet.
What a winner of a show this is!
No, everyone loves Jacqueline Winspear. Who doesn't love Jacqueline Winspear? Come on.
Yes, so let's all have a good cry.
Because it's her last one.
We can't win. Because everyone loves the Maisie Dobbs books, and this is the last one.
She's done. Yeah. She's
done.
Yeah. Is it good?
It's wonderful, except for the ending when Maisie finally succumbs to an outrageous mob, and they manage to kill her.
No. I didn't see that coming. Wait a minute.
No, they don't, actually. No, I'm not spoiling the book.
Very good.
We should always be on our guard against,
I've heard. So I hear. With binoculars in the bushes.
It's absolutely wonderful, but it is, as my producer points out, incredibly heartbreaking because you get to the end and remember, oh, right, there aren't going to be any more.
Yeah. This is a beloved series around here. People in this town seem to really like these Maisie Dobbs books, and we'll just find you something else. So there. Hard to Kill's available, I hear.
We're losing Maisie Dobbs, and also what's the other? There's another almost exactly the same World War II era. I'm blanking on it.
Yeah, you know who else stopped this summer was, I think, didn't Ellen Hildebrand wrap it up?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
so
it's a bummer.
It's Maisie Dobbs and who is that? I'm sure that it does gangbusters at your library.
Oh, sure. There's
complete blank on it. But that is also ending.
Yeah. Well, you know what you do. They won't end. You know what we do? We have to send this woman after Maisie Dobbs. She'll be back. Ronda Rousey, Our Fight. Look at that cover. Look at that cover.
You'll forgive me if I did not read this book. It's not
I will. I don't know if she will.
It's not reviewable. There's nothing you can say about it.
I heard a rumor that she actually just wrote a graphic novel too. I think she's doing something like that.
Oh, really?
It's interesting. Yeah. So it's out now. I think they're in tandem.
She's mixed martial arts, right?
Oh, she's a killer.
Yeah.
And I really believe she did some time in the extremely integrity-filled WWE. So
I believe it or not, years and years ago, I wrote a review of a book by a mixed martial arts fighter.
Okay.
And I think in the course of that review, I got off all the one-liners that I had in me for any subject. So, what was his name? He was incongruently a pretty boy, despite the fact that I think his first name was Elijah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know that world very well. I only watch real sports, curling.
I got his book. The publicist sent me his book, and I read it and tore it to shreds, and that was that. So I haven't had a need to go back to any others.
You hear that tapping you hear is the knock on Steve's door. He'd like to discuss your review. She's a good mom.
Oh, look at
so that was good. So there we go. There we are. That's how you end a show like this.
I hope that kid's ribs are all right.
Crunch. No. I think she's left that world behind. Yes, she's an author now. So there we go.
You know what we should do sometime soon? we should do a segment of an episode where I give out a few recommendations of new series to try.
Oh, sure.
Specifically because some are ending.
You know, we're a good place to do that. How do I live with myself?
No one else will.
Someone volunteered once.
Timothy Chalamet.
Yes, that's very true. No, he bailed too. He's Bob Dylan now. I can't do much with that. Patreon.com/books of the week. We've set up shop over there. We have a little tent. You come by, drop some coins in the kitty, and we might give you a breath mint. So, and we're hoping to do lots of wild, wonderful things over there. But the beautiful thing is that every penny you put in goes to the Friends of the Cedarburg Public Library, a group that makes this show happen, and we love them, and we never say anything bad about that. Yes.
Two of the friends are them.
No. Well, it's been a lovely show. I have to sign off now. I've got things to do upstairs. Very important. I have to tape some stickers on some books.
Are they making you say that?
And it was very nice being joined by Joe Smith.
Yes, I'm
out
Joe
of Boston.
Smith. I'm main character.
It was chaos, folks, and that's what we bring to your lives. I broke a sweat during this episode. And we'll be back next week. Oh, there we go. Did I click something wrong? There we go. It was them. I'm sure it was them. Anyway, have a good reading week, everybody. Stay low. Watch out for them. Steve, keep reading because we need it. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.